sure hope the microphone isn't too loud. Music a bit more. I love this song, by the way. Oh, I just hope my mic quality is actually good. That's something I forgot to check before stream, but we're winging it. Alright, I guess I better start the game. There we go. Why, hello there, everyone. This is JM764, and welcome to Transport Fever 2. Now, I will admit it's been quite a while since I've streamed, let alone did anything with the first Transport Fever, because stuff. But anyway, I am happy to report that I am able to stream Transport Fever 2 with you guys. It's a game I've been waiting for quite some time, actually, and been in the beta for the past couple of weeks, I believe. Don't even get me started on time and dates. I'm horribly off. But yeah, Transport Fever 2. It's been a long time coming. So I guess I better stop talking and show you all around. I do love this main menu though, along with the music. But you'll see there's something new here, something I've been wanting for a very long time. And that's the map editor. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time to show this off this part of the stream, because unfortunately I do have to cut the stream a bit short. But yeah, we'll see. But I guess I'll show you around the menu real quick. So let's start with settings. And not much has really changed, aside from the fact that we now have a terrain and grass setting, which we didn't have before. Geometry, I really wish had a draw distance setting, because I could run this high if the draw distance didn't increase with it. My 1070 just isn't strong enough, it seems. Even though it's overclocked in the 8 gig edition, but eh. So I gotta leave it on low, but everything else is pretty much maxed out. Same for anti-aliasing though. 2K resolution, luckily. But most of y'all should be seeing this at 1080p. Audio, not much to say. Of course, I turned down the sound effects. Left pretty much everything else the same as I did for Transport Fever and Train Fever. Controls, there's quite a few. I've left them all to stock. Turned off edge scrolling, of course. Everything else is practically the same, though some keys did get changed around, which I'll show later. Then there's the interface. Practically the same thing. This guide system's pretty much like hints and tips. Of course, I've played Transport Fever a lot. Like a couple 100 hours for sure. Everything else is set to America units. Of course, minus distance, because for some reason that only counts in meters regardless of what you set it to, which is annoying. There is a new money number system, so you can do the full, where it does like I think cents and everything, and then short, which is just like rounded up. I'm gonna leave it on full since that's default. Scale is automatic, which is usually 100 anyway, so it's typically fine. And then advanced settings, autosave, every 10 minutes or so should be okay. I like to keep about 5, just in case something goes horribly wrong. And then miscellaneous stuff like hardware cursor, crash reports, unsupported hardware, even though mine is clearly supported. camera tool, which I really think should be default. I think it might be. And of course, my favorite, debug mode, because that's the only way to have the turn off UI button for some reason. And of course, we're just going to leave all these the same as I had them. I really wish the music looped in the menus. I don't know why. That's been a thing of mine, but I won't bring attention to that now. I'm actually just going to be playing a free game as well for the stream. I'm saving the campaign for launch day. But, I will show off the map editor real quick. And whoops. Good old Steam messages. But here's the map editor. And as you can see, we have some new climates. There's temperate, which is pretty much stock Europe and the default. Dry, which is stock USA, though I usually play in temperate regardless. Or a custom map. Speaking of which, I'm going to show one off that I've been working on since pretty much Train Fever in the early days of Transport Fever. But that'll come later. And Tropical, which is the new one. And of course the vehicle sets like Europe and USA, which we've had, and Asia, which is new. Fun fact, I didn't test to see if Asia or Europe had the Russian vehicles. I'm going to assume Europe, though. But I'll double check that in a bit. And there's a load map button for maps you've already created in the editor. Unfortunately, you can't import them directly from here, from what I've seen, which is a bit odd. You can enable mods, though, which is interesting. Again, that's something I'll show later on. Map sizes. I've turned on experimental, so we get huge and megalomaniac. I think very large is a stock one, and tiny, which is another experimental. Map formats. I think all these are stock. And, of course, the seed. But, like I said, we're going to start a new free game, but I'm going to show you all a test save game I pretty much have. Load that up right now. And sorry about the frame rate in this. I kind of just jumped on in and didn't really optimize things quite as much as I hoped I would. Alright. And speaking of which, let me just do that real quick. Alright. I will need to, matter of fact, I'm gonna put away for now. There we go. Professional streamer, everyone. So, this is my little test map. It's not well laid out as far as the tracks and connections go, but pretty much shows off everything minus ships. It's pretty awful map for ships, all things considered. But I'll start over here in Oklahoma City with something brand new to this game, which is our headquarters. Yes, we have finally developed the technology to build our own status symbols. It took a million years. But this is the headquarters menu, and I totally forgot I didn't name this. I'm just going to name it if I could spell. There you go, JM764 Transit. And here you can pretty much see all these wonderful stats. This headquarters is pretty much maxed out as far as I can tell, at least. I think it stops at around level score 16.
Do the Mario!
And then it keeps Oh, hey. Thanks, Thomas Orbit, for following. But, yeah, it pretty much shows all the stats from the things you've built and money, all that good jazz. Top speed is completely odd because it shows you the fastest vehicle, but you have to hover over it, as you can see, to find the fastest vehicle per type, which I think this would have been better if they'd showed all of them, but that's just me. And of course, total amount of tracks, electrification, which on this map is surprisingly 0. Which, for those who know me, I love my electric trains. I had to really, really hold myself back on those. And yeah, high-speed track, cargo transported. I do love these newer stats, though I wish it was a bit more descriptive on the score as far as the actual value. Like, you can hover over it, as you can see now, of course, but it'd be nice if these were titles instead of just flat numbers, and then it showed you the points. Again, small little nitpick, nothing major. Then the charts, which, as you can see, up to about 1900 wasn't doing so well, and then it just catapulted in 1934 when I finally built out the rest of the lines. And of course, track building, which still skyrocketed. Town growth, again, 1932 to 34, great time of expansion, as you can tell. And of course, finances, which, yeah, bought a bunch of stuff in 61, which was mainly vehicles. Typically try to upgrade every so often. But yeah, that's the new finance menu, and as you can see, it shows the full number instead of just a giant rounded one, which I do like. I do realize for some things it might be pretty hard to see. Maybe on the stream as well, I'm not too sure. But, let's see. What else should I show? Oh yeah, the stations. And this is one of the first stations I built in the game that has a mixed approach to it. Because I do have an earlier test map that was just kind of testing the game. But as you can see, it's a cargo station, which is this little building on the left, and a passenger station, which is this bigger building on the right. And if I click on it, you can see its little radius of effect, which is massive compared to Transport Fever 1's, mainly because of all the buildings it connects to and the fact that stations now have very tiny automatic connecting points, which you can kind of see. Where's a good one? Let's see. I don't think this station shows it off. I'm gonna have to probably look at another one. But you can see I built a cargo platform here, and this side is accessible by cargo trains and passenger up here. Unfortunately, it doesn't do what it did in Transport Fever, where you can no longer drop off passengers at cargo stops, nor cargo at passenger stops. This is a pretty big change for the people who built stations that way, like I did, running mixed trains through them. Let's see. Oh, let's see a question. How do you make sure that your station receives goods like silver or from your industries? Oh, okay. I can show that off now, actually. Because we're going to move on to a station I know that does show off this feature, which is this steel mill over here. For example, this train station originally didn't reach the steel mill at all, because while, let's see, I think there's another one that has an example. Yeah, this one. There is a connection point to the industry right here, but for some reason, the true connection point for the industry is over here on this main road area, which is a little odd. So I just built an extension to the main road. But in the case of this station, it was so far away, it didn't quite reach. But, luckily, roads are transferable. So I just connected a piece of road between these two stations, and then let this station here, which does connect to the main road, transfer the cargo all the way through it into the industry. So that's a bit of an advanced technique. And there's also these little side street connections like this one, which when I built it, it said it connected, and I'm going to see if I can build one right now, actually. Not miscellaneous, is it? Yeah, sorry, miscellaneous. And so side entrance, it's kind of hard to see because of the UI, but let me make this one, and I don't think it's going to quite line up. I'll just build it up here. So you can see we now have a side entrance. And if I connect this road back up, which actually used to run through here, and this is the new road menu, by the way. I'll admit I kind of liked it better when the categories had bigger buttons. I do understand the filters, though. Just wish the icons were a bit bigger for them, because I know on some screens they can be hard to see. I'm just going to connect this country road to the station, and you can see these little lines pop up from the entrance that we placed down. And that means the station will automatically connect to that road. So if I build it, we now say we have connection. And it's quite far, which is one thing I'm glad they fixed, because it used to go about half this distance to about here, roughly, which was really annoying on certain maps, especially for docks and airports, which have huge catchment areas now. And I'll just show a quick example as well, I almost forgot. If I go back to configure, go to platforms, I can convert this cargo station into a mixed passenger station. Now, of course, there's no purpose in this area to do it, but if I just say slap some passenger platforms right in the middle here, which about 2 platforms are about the same size as one cargo platform, which I believe they were a bit bigger in Transport Fever, which made lining stations up and connecting them a bit harder. Usually had to end up using like filler platforms in some of my older builds. But as you can see here, it connects, and the stations even have platform signs now. So you can actually see which station you're at, which is a nice touch. I believe there was a Transport Fever 1 mod that did this, and I think that guy, I forget what his username was, I think he ended up helping the devs implement that into a full feature for this one, which is a nice touch. Same goes for the cargo platforms. Kind of wish the signs were more customizable though. Same for like the lamps and stuff. And oh, autosave, which as you can see doesn't lock up the whole game anymore, which I love. And oh, actually, since we're over here, I can show off industries. Like this massive steel mill, which I believe is very close to being full upgraded. It has fully upgraded, but not full production. So, I'll admit, cargo in this game, I'm half and half about. I can understand why they did it, but me being me, I can complain about this. But basically, they oversimplified the cargo system. It's kind of somewhere between Transport Fever 1 and Train Fever systems, where Train Fever had fewer cargoes, but the system was pretty easy because cargo flowed automatically to its destination if it was close enough. And Transport Fever 1, which had a bunch of cargo types, but had this catchment area system, which I'll admit is far better in this game, but I still like Train Fevers the most because it was the most natural. Though I can understand why they changed it, of course, for a technical reason. But, let me bring the window back. And another thing, you can pin windows now, which is a feature I've wanted for a long time. Thank you, devs. But as you can see, this is the cargo chain, which is 2 iron ore and 2 coal, which is up from the 1 iron ore and 1 coal to make steel back in Transport Fever and Train Fever, which does cause industries to actually produce more and makes longer trains like this platform over here completely viable, which I think I have some massive trains running along this line. Yeah, here they are. They're all waiting. One of these is a coal train. One of these is an iron ore train. Let's see. Here's a full coal train, actually. And in Transport and Train Fever, this is pretty hard to do unless you really optimize your routes to get them fully loaded up on a 320-meter train or bigger. I stopped at 320 because honestly, this game kind of caps out because of the industry changes, unfortunately. Because I know I've been able to run 600 to even a full kilometer train in Transport Fever 1 due to all the mods and the way the maps were built, some of the custom maps I made. I'm actually going to let the game run a bit as well. And on a side note, performance of the game is much better because Transport Fever 1 and Train Fever run horribly on this PC, even though it's well over spec for both those games. I wish my hardware monitor was working, but it's actually not, so I can't show that off. Probably in a recording in the review. But back to the trains. You can see this one's carrying a full load of coal all the way down to the steel mill. So if I go to the suppliers chart on the steel mill, you can see all the industries that can connect to it. And this has been another feature I've wanted because sometimes it was pretty hard finding an industry you could transport for them. Like here's the nearby coal mine, which is currently having issues because, yeah, this train is taking so long to get to it. It's blocking the signal. But it's pretty close. I did like this map spawn. And, of course, another coal mine on the other side of the map where that massive train's coming from. So you can see it produces a ton of coal. And most of it's being transported as well. The iron ore mines, however, are a bit far. Like this one, which is actually near Oklahoma City. And I built this line way from over here down a passenger line I had built between Oklahoma City and Atlanta, all the way to the steel mill and back. So it runs about 4 trains, I believe. And yeah, here's one now. These were diesel powered. I think they were Atlantics. Not Atlantics, 10-wheelers, which are new to this game beforehand. And let's see. Yeah, the Atlanta, in air quotes, iron ore mine, which is on the other side of this massive river, where I built this expensive bridge. And, oh yeah, since we're over here, I can show off a brand new feature, which is cargo planes. Now, this map, I wasn't expecting it to allow me to do this, but it's quite fortunate. Because Train Fever and Transport Fever really loved having everything connected by roads, but this industry up here, when the map spawned, had no connection whatsoever. And even though I built a road, you can see it's quite a steep incline, so it wasn't practical. Even on this side and this side over here, just wasn't going to happen. I didn't even want to build that route right there. But thanks to the introduction of cargo planes, yes, we can fly black gold all the way up Mesa, which is wonderful. Of course, because of their size, they don't hold much, a measly 10, though in real life that's quite a bit for a plane for holding liquids. But compared to like trucks, which, let's see, I actually have some over here. Where's a depot? Ah, here's one. 1963. I think they're still around. Oh yeah. You can see I had no plan going into this stream. the organization of features. But yeah, here's all the vehicles we can build. This is the new vehicle manager, which I think they should have combined a few more of these features back together than splitting them apart. But I'll go over that in a moment. If I go to cargo here, here's all the cargo trucks we can use, and you will notice that even though I selected USA for this map, for some reason road vehicles and planes, I haven't checked ships yet, but it seems to have selected everything, and I think that was just a bug because this is an earlier beta map. But we're just gonna roll with it. But for example, up until 1930, trucks only carried 8, and I believe this plane came out in the 30s. So if I go to the airport and build some, this plane came out, okay, 1942, so a bit later. That's still pretty good for a plane, considering this one, which I believe is a European plane, carries 14, and the Junkers, another European, carries 12. I'm sorry, 10. For some reason, this one doesn't have compartments, which I find a bit odd, considering these both do. But again, it might just be a beta thing or intentional. And of course, passenger planes. Though you will notice that that this is actually just a small airport. But I didn't really have room to build the larger one because they are huge. The large airport does offer something interesting. So if I build one real quick just for show. You can see the little, if I go to configure, the arrows showing which way it faces. But also, go to miscellaneous, you can change the direction the plane's flying. So right now they're flying in from this way, which I wish this had a bit more definition to where these landing lights are, because they're kind of hard to see with the wide overlay. But if I delete them, and I built them on this side, you can see the arrows change. And boom. Now plane's flying that way. As you can see, this airport's absolutely massive compared, like about a third to half the size of the city. So I'm just going to leave that there since I'm not saving this map. And, yeah, another thing, cities. They've probably had the biggest change, and going back to the cargo system earlier, and the simplification. Buildings and cities only require 2 types of cargo now, which they used to demand all of them, though you could be selective on which one you brought. Not anymore. This is locked to 2 cargoes only. So wherever it is on the map, that's where you have to bring it from. And from what I've noticed, at least in this little test map, which normally it would try to spawn more cities and industries, but I minimized it, the amount it spawns just for this map. It seems that every industry requires, every producing industry requires 2 resource industries. So if I go to, let's see, a good example. Well, back to the steel mill, I guess, considering this was the biggest infrastructure project. You can see that it's trying to upgrade, and that because of these demands, if I go to suppliers, I'm using all 4, and it's getting basically all production. It was a bit higher earlier. But I've noticed that in order to get it to level 2, you pretty much have to connect at least 2 iron ore mines and 2 coal mines, because otherwise the consumption would be so high compared to the production of those mines, you couldn't actually increase. Like, these can produce 400 maximum. But, like, this route was already transporting it all, and I was running an iron ore, and now you can see I'm running low on coal because of the production rate. and the transport rate isn't high enough. So it's a bit of a balancing act. I do like that a bit more, because in Transport Fever 1, I know there's a map of mine where you could just connect one industry and max that whole chain out using just one of each type, and get about 3 cities worth. But here, you can only really effectively transport to 2 cities, as shown here, which luckily this map only has 2 cities requesting those kind of cargoes at the same time. So with that being said, go back over here to Oklahoma City. You can see they want bread and machines. If we go to the menu, you can see as far as supply goes, I'm doing very well for bread, but pretty poorly for, machines. So if I go over to the machine factory, we can check and see why we're not getting as much. And we're basically not shipping as much to it. Mainly because we're running out of steel. And the steel mill is over here. And you notice we're not transporting quite as much steel. Even though we have it. So the best thing to do, that's actually something I just noticed. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, it actually doesn't show me how much steel we have at the mill. Probably because it's all at the station. So about 34. So we pretty much need to maximize the steel mill's production and get more steel trains running. This is line 9. Yeah, so that goes to this goods factory up here to produce the goods. And I believe the save has a steel train. Ah, here it is. That delivers a mixed line route. So the steel train will go all the way up to here, and I could have extended it to the machinery plant, but I decided to have a bit of fun to try out the mixed transport system. So this steel train, as you can see, is coming into Oklahoma City Station, and it's going to this cargo platform, which is counted as a separate station, but on the same track, luckily. Which is why this method works, though for passenger trains, they can't use the full platform like I mentioned earlier. So it's going to drop off its steel here, and we're just in time for a truck. And this truck route has been designed to deliver machines to the city, and pick up steel from here and deliver it back to the machinery plant. And pretty much what this boils down to is the fact that these trucks aren't really transporting enough steel. And let's see. So we pretty much need more steel and more trucks. And another feature, which I almost forgot. You can see here, traffic lights. And you have to build these manually, unfortunately. I was really hoping that there would be like some automatic building of them later on. But you pretty much have to go up to this button up here in the top left, which is the data laters. Turn them on. And you scroll down to, where is it? Street traffic. And then when you click on it, and this is kind of a city skylines, I forget the name of the mod. Not rush hour. Dang, I forget the name. But basically, you go into the special menu, and it's here where you can build traffic lights, which this icon does need to be a bit bigger. I can assuredly say that because it kind of looks like the lock icon from far away. Luckily, I know where the intersections are, so you pretty much just zoom into them, and let's say you wanted a traffic light here, for example. Then you just click right on the icon, and boom, new traffic light. And traffic lights are automatically timed as well, so they'll figure out how many cars pass around this area and change the light appropriately. as you can see. So going back to lines and everything, I'll go on and show some of the lines I built off and how they work. So the line manager, honestly, lost a feature I loved, which was selecting just one line and then closing it and still being able to just to see that one line. I kind of hope they add that back, because it's kind of unfortunate really to have to see every single one and try to troubleshoot lines, especially if they're the same color. Like if I change line 3 real quick to red, like how you're supposed to know which one's which? That's a bit of an oversight if you ask me. Other than that though, I do like the new system. So let me just pause real quick and say we want to add a new station to line 1. And we just click to add one. Click on the station we want to add, which this is the truck station. So let's just add this one up here at Oklahoma City. And now it's there. And if I wanted, I can go down, of course, and change the platform if it has one. So now it's on that side. I can change it back, of course. I can change what cargo amount it waits for, so load if there's anything to load, wait for a full load of any cargo type, which usually waits for one cargo compartment to become full, and then leaves if the others aren't, and then full load of all, which loads all cargo compartments on a vehicle. And a feature which should have been here from day one in my opinion, cargo filters, where you can pick what cargoes to load and what cargoes to unload. Of course, this being an example station, I'm not going to set it, but I believe I've already set some of these. Yes. So, for example, yeah, here's a good example. At Oklahoma City West, if I go to it, you can see the station. It's right next to a food processing plant. So I've set up the line to basically only allow trucks that come here to unload the grain that they pick up from farms and only load bread. Now, given how the station works, I could tell it to load anything I want, but just in case, I've pretty much manually set each station to only accept or unload the cargo type that I expect it to load there or unload. Which I tend to do in most other games as well. And you can also change the waiting time here as well, and the color, which, another pet peeve of mine. There were more colors in Transport Fever 1. There should have been more colors than that game in here, and yet there's less. And that's another problem I hope they'll resolve by launch. Again, nothing too major, but this can become a problem really quickly, because even I ran into it trying to organize some of these lines by vehicle color, which right now I'm not doing. But let's say I want to change Line 8's color for their vehicles. You used to go into the configure line, which I think is a better option in this case, but now you have to go to configure vehicles, which is a nicer menu for the stuff it does. And then select all the vehicles with this top button here. Selects all of them. Or you can do stuff like control or shift click to select however many vehicles you want in the order, etc. Let's say we just want to color all of them though. So reselect them all. Then change their color to, I think it's like dark brownish for my iron ore trains. So there we go. They're all recolored. And oh, hello nerd 3D80. Just noticed your message. Sorry about that. But let's see. If we scroll down to say the steel line, I usually like coloring my coal trains black, but unfortunately there isn't a black color for some reason. There's just like this really darkish brown color, which works, but I would like to see like basic colors like black and white. They're really useful. Like this kind of works, but Transport Fever 1 definitely did it better. This game's looking something I might like. Well, that's glad to hear that. And I think a lot of people, despite my little nitpicks, will like this game because I could see what they were going for with the changes, and changes overall, even from people coming from Transport Fever 1, are definitely worth it. But for guys like me who go to the extreme, we've got a little nitpicking to do. And oh, another feature I can show off while I'm over here. This station at Atlanta Halt, you can see, has a ton of passengers waiting for my passenger trains. And I believe there is an overlay for that. Destination. Yeah. So here's one overlay, which is for pretty much the destination of all people on the map. And you can see a bunch of people like to use my passenger train line from Atlanta to Oklahoma City, because there really isn't a direct road, and even if there was, it would take much longer. Though in a later save of this game, I've noticed these trains tend to get clogged up. And you can see, as far as public transport goes, so that's vehicles you make, like trains and buses. Atlanta really loves using my trains especially, and buses. And there are private cars that go elsewhere. So if we go over to Oklahoma City, for example, on the other hand, the only real transit here is the train system. And you can see they love their private cars a whole lot more. And if we go to Clarksville, practically the same thing, except a lot of people like using the actual road to move as well. So we could improve this if we had like buses and things transporting people around in the city. Then they're more likely to take the train to between the cities and use the buses to get to where they're going instead of using cars. And I believe traffic is not too bad on this road, but that's only because it's like the 1960s. And mainly trucks use this road as well, so it tends to slow cars down quite a bit. I do love the car designs though, like this. I think this is it's either Bel Air, I believe, based on one. Just a beautiful model, and I'll show off the camera tool real quick. Here we go. I just love these models. They're so good. They've really done a great job with the modeling in this game. Definitely one of the best reasons, in my opinion, in order to get the game. There's another question. Would it be possible to show me the invert mouse button, please? I know it's a bit of a detour. No worries. Yeah, no problem. Let me let's see. There's one more thing I want to show off real quick. Where is it? Oh yeah, noise pollution, otherwise known as emission, which also I believe includes stuff like vehicle emissions, which, as you can see, certain vehicles and certain areas tend to produce more emissions than others. Typically, trains produce the most. And as you can see in Oklahoma City, this is kind of bad, as they all go into the heart of the city, produce a ton of noise, and buildings basically don't like that. And the worse the emission is, the worse pretty much the rating for residential buildings in the area. So you typically, like they said in the trailers, want to move vehicles that produce a ton of emissions away from residential zones, so they'll increase in size. Atlanta's pretty bad too. It's pretty much just Clarksville that's in a good position right now, only because this train is leaving, which if I let it run, you should see the emissions taper off. Yeah, there they go. because the train isn't in the area anymore. And certain areas, especially airports, just produce a ton when planes are taking off and landing. So you always want to get those away from residential areas as far as possible. And that's pretty much all the base features of the game. There's still a few other things I can show, but especially if you played Transport Fever or Train Fever, you'll know what those are. Things like navigatable waters, which in this game, thankfully, probably the best feature, you can just change the water line. And also the terrain tools have gotten a lot better. So if I just create a little dig out area, for example, real quick, yeah, it automatically readjusts where ships can go, which is far better than the pre-built design that maps had to do in Transport Fever. But I'll go back to the main menu because I want to start a new map anyway. And I'll show the options one more time. So if we go back to settings, let's see. I think it's under controls. Yeah, here we go. I believe it is these buttons right here. So like invert tilting, invert rotation, and invert panning. These are typically the options for the camera and everything that switches things. The only option I don't think there is like swapping mouse buttons like left and right click, though I think that's a general OS option if you need to do that. And of course you can change all the key mappings as well. Stuff like edge scrolling and invert zooming, that's another one. So let's start up a new free map. And this is the free map generator. I do love this view. It reminds me a heck of a lot of SimCity Societies way back in, what was that, 2007, I think? About 11 years ago. Man, time flies. But I'm going to pick a tropical map. And I could technically pick a map I was editing earlier, but it's not quite finished. I'm going to probably try to finish that in a second stream if I have the time this evening. As we're approaching the 1 hour mark in about 15 more minutes. So I'm going to create, I say a large map. About halfway between the map sizes I have right now. Ah yes, time does fly when you're gaming hard. That's for sure. And wow, this map is actually pretty similar to the one I was creating, but with a heck of a lot more industries, which are set too low. Yeah, you can tell because of the new industry change. There's a ton of industries. But if I, for example, change the amount of cities, it should also change the amount of industries to match. A bit better. Seems like a good amount. And I'm going to change stuff like, let's make it a bit more hilly. Add a bit more land, because it's a bit too much water, which normally I wouldn't mind, but I'd like to focus more on the land transport a bit. So a few islands, and I'm just curious, what does very high look like? Tropical island, so we're going to increase the force all the way up. Why not? Yeah, that's a ton of industries. Yeah, that might be a bit too many. I think medium should be okay. I really think they should have kept the larger cargo chain from Transport Fever and just use that as the base instead of having fewer, because it creates stuff like this. Because each industry basically needs 2 production industries to fill that, and then you need 2 of those to fill an advanced production industry, and then it just kind of snowballs out of control with all the industries here. I have to turn it back to low. That'll do, I guess. Plus, this kind of map configuration means I get to actually use ships. So, yeah, we're going to roll with it. And I'm going to start in 1850, because I always like starting in the earliest era. I'm going to make the difficulty medium, just because I haven't really used any of these vehicles before. And here we go. And again, sorry about like the commentary and the lack of direction, but I basically been pulling a train fever from way back when I first started really streaming and recording. Because just like that day, I just kind of jumped straight into it once I had the chance. And it's been a few years, so can't quite fault me for that, huh? Should be done loading in a bit. I will say, this game, if you're going to play it seriously, use an SSD drive, because mechanical drives, sure, they hold a lot more, which is especially great for my Transport Fever 1 install, because that thing's like 100 gigs or so, because of all the mods and everything I have on it. But if you can afford a large SSD, that's even better, because the loading times get ridiculous, especially on the larger maps. Though I will say, not as bad as some of my city skylines and the Sims 2 maps way back in the day when I had a much slower computer. Those would take 30 minutes or more in excess. But here's our new map. And I really do like the look of this. And just for fun, at the sacrifice of my frame rate even more, I'm going to turn up all the settings just to show you what the game really looks like. It's beautiful, but laggy as all get out. And I'm not even going to bother pronouncing these names. I'm pretty sure they're English versions of Japanese names. But I'm not going to try. So there's this town of Y. Yeah, we're just gonna roll with it, huh? And just look at this. Plus, this song fits this theme so well. Like, I will give props to them on the graphics and sound again. It's just beautiful, like mountain back there, and so good. Unfortunately, there is one problem when I said the music earlier, and that's basically the amount of songs, because there's only, if I stop this one from song for a second, yeah, 16 which is, if I remember right, 5 less than Train Fever if you include the bonus songs, and if not, then it's like 3 less, and 2 less, sorry, and I think 16 less than Transport Fever ones. So yeah, there's not a lot of variety, though. I will say the songs are amazing. I've always loved Admiral James T's work in these games. Though I will say I think Train Fever, sorry, probably has the most memorable soundtrack for me, and my favorite song that he's done, which is what's it called? Cricket Boast. Yeah, that's what it is. Which is just a wonderful melodic tune, pretty much. Oh yeah, like another thing I'll show off real quick. Transport Fever 2's bridges are so much better than 1's. Like, they curve a bit more naturally, and they're not as extreme either. Though is that one actually clear? It technically does, because I think the ships are a lot smaller as well. But you can't put a ship through there, laughably. I do like the Transport Fever bridge designs a bit more than 2's, except for the stone bridge here, because this thing's just beautiful. But the lack of wooden bridges is getting to me. I do like wood bridges, and there aren't any. They're just stone. So a bit unfortunate in the early game. Especially on the USA maps where I want a trestle bridge. And, oh, yeah. You have a good one, Thomas. Shame you gotta go, but, no problem. And, hope you enjoyed the stream. But, let's see. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Birds! Insert an Orson Welles joke, but, yeah, just, you know, birds. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to have a first-person cam on these. But, can have a third-person cam, which is awesome. And apparently you can rename them, which is even better, but... oh, I didn't mean to call them that. Well, oh well. There we go. Now it's official. The birds. But, let's see if we can find a good starting area. Because the one thing about this game is, if you, and pretty much all the games really, if you can get a food industry next to a town that wants food, you're pretty much golden. Even in this game. Because one production industry and one resource industry is usually enough for one town. Well, let's see. Got a lot of variety here. And I'm very tempted to connect this with ships, but I believe they're pretty expensive if I remember right. Let's see. Not too bad. I remember the docks were like $500,000 or something. It's kind of ridiculous, really. But we could build there, but is there a fuel? I mean, there's one way over here. But is there oil near that? There's a refinery. Or, I guess, a processing plant in this case. What do they call these, actually? Yeah, it's a refinery. And a fuel refinery. Okay, that makes some sense. But is there oil near these? Because this would be a nice little production area. Because you also want fuel. And you both want bread. Alright, and there's grain. There's a food processing plant there. There's oil. Well, let's find out. Because one thing about this menu I forgot to mention earlier is that it usually sorts this list by the closest production area.
Do the Marios!
Which is, there, I believe? Oh, thank you, Erwin, for, if I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize for usernames. But thank you for following. And it's kind of far. So I think that is closer than yeah, that one. Tokyo. These seem all kind of far. Yeah, that's really far. I think you're further. Yeah, you're a bunch further. You're basically the other side of the map. So that's the thing. So it looks like the nearest one is basically right here, more or less. Unfortunately, with the vehicles we have, I think that's just too far to transport. But there are these two cities near each other. So we could just transport passengers. Oh, you know what? There's a machines factory here. Just realized. And then a sawmill for the planks and forest for the wood. This city requires machines, but I don't think there's a steel mill nearby. Yeah, it's all the way over here. Yeah, this map. That's the thing about these industry chains, because they require so many, it usually ends up putting the ones you want next to each other, far from each other. This one could work. We could transport a stone to here and then send it immediately in the city. And then tools, yeah, only require planks. There's a sawmill and there's a forestry. So this area might... Oh, and you also require construction materials, which are produced here. And y'all both require tools, so... You know what? I think this little area right here is probably going to work for us, just looking at it. Because it's a straight shot straight to the tools factory. And then back to this town right here. And then these, using ships, aren't too far. Yeah, I think this could work. So what I'll do, which I usually tend to do, love all these saves. Let's see. I'm going to say beta stream map. Well, stream 1 map start. It's kind of a naming scheme, which always ends up changing, as you can tell, especially in my old series. But yeah, if we're just going to save this little area as our starting point and see what kind of vehicles we can put down here. Because like I said, I haven't used ships at all in this game. So I'm going to put a harbor. Let's see. The tool plants are over here. Construction materials are here. So I'm thinking we'll put the cargo dock over this way. Question is finding a good spot, which I assume is going to be about here. I could build it there. Let's see. I want to try to avoid taking out loans. And oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. Flattening tool, very useful. Though it's a little hard to figure out what you're flattening from, unfortunately, because you pretty much have to pick the area with the height you already want and then smooth it out. We're just gonna take this, flatten out this little area, and then take the smoothing, well, lower tool, try to make this a bit more accessible to the ships, which is going to cost a lot of money. That should be flat enough for our dock, pretty much. And I'll give it some room just so we can add passenger dock nearby. Yeah, that'll work. And then we want to do the same pretty nearby. Now we could get the passengers right here from this town, have them meet up at the dock, and then transfer them up to here, which is what I'm thinking of doing. Of course, we want the stone as close as we can. This is going to be too expensive to dig out right now, that I can tell. The shortest trip's probably going to end up right about here. So we're going to make a little hub area, because as much as I would love to dig this out, I don't want to take out really any loans if I can avoid it. So we're going to put our little dock over here. Our cargo harbor next to it. Then our shipyard can go a bit too steep. A lot steeper than I'd like. I'll put it near town, because it makes a bit more sense in my opinion. Yeah, here we go. This is our new little ship area. And then, now that we have those down, make another save. This will be the start. We can continue building from here. Some of these roads, these are mediums, yes. That's one thing about this game I'm still not a fan of. The fact roads kind of bend a bit too randomly when you're trying to place them. And they're still not a perfectly straight tool for when you're building, outside of just like trying to line it up the best you can initially, like this. I was really hoping they'd address that. But for now, we'll just connect these roads as such. And you can see it's making more connection points as well. I'm just going to kind of partially complete that. That's a bit expensive, but I'll deal with it. Same for that one. How expensive are you? Very. I'll let the city finish that. I'm not going to bother. What I'll do, this side will be for the passengers. So I'm just going to make a tiny little bus station area. And I'm going to show off something a bit interesting. So we can build this bus station like this. And I'll build it here like I normally would if this were Transport Fever. But thanks to the way Transport Fever 2 works, if I go to configure, which I think this should also be an option when you're placing this down, you'll see I can add not only another street access, but also one-way access points, which unfortunately, looking at this, I built them a bit too close. So if I delete the station, unfortunately there goes some money. Just space it out just a bit more. Let's say about here. I'll just build it about back here, for example. And what I'll do is, gotta close out the menu. I'll make a side entrance here and a side exit. Yeah, a little too close, but here works. So now buses don't even have to use the main entrance. They can just come through this side and out that way. Which is something, like I said, I wish you could like pre-plan these before you place them down, because you still need this massive big entrance here until you build this part, which is a bit annoying, if you ask me. Could just build an entrance and do that. A bit much. But as you can see, buses can roll in, go through the stops, roll out. Bit of an advanced technique. And I'm going to do the same with the cargo station. Which probably is going to be a bit harder thanks to that tiny little hill. Lighting with. And what I'll do. Let's try that. Too steep. Too close. Too close. That works. Slide. Tell you what. Can I change the way this platform works? I can make it longer, of course. Nah. I'll just have to sacrifice this house and do it. Bit expensive. Place this down out here. Now let's try. Alright. So now they can come in through that side. So not the best slope. But it works for me. Then you can exit out there. And there we go. Now we have a cool little roll-on through station area and a little spot for cars to pass through normally without really interacting with the vehicles inside of these trucks on this side. I could smooth that out a bit, but yeah. Well, nah, I'll leave it as it is. I do love the docks in this game though. They look beautiful, especially compared to the Transport Fever 1 ones, because those were big boxes with triangles. I'm so glad they put the detail into those. But now that we have that down, we can place a depot. And I'll put it out here near the industry itself, which will mess with we'll kind of mess with the area we can expand with later, but given this is an island, I don't think we're going to be doing much. Plus, at least for the trucks, it makes it a lot easier to start with. So again, we're going to apply our little truck stop method. And, oh wait. Yeah, at depot selected. So we're going to put the truck area, I say about here. Most people would want to put it down further, like as far as they can, because even all the way down here you can pick up cargo and not have to travel that whole distance, but I find that a bit cheaty. I like to keep it more realistic, again air quotes. I'm going to try to line this up where the road would have been in Transport Fever 1, which is about in the middle. This area. Then we're going to adjust the entrances again. We'll have that one there. Exit there. Delete the main road entrance. And can we... Now they're specifically sideways. And I'll extend these platforms just a bit. Then if we go back to the road tools, something I forgot to mention earlier, there is one-way roads. However, because of this time period, for some reason, you can't build them. So we're just going to use a two-way to connect a one-way for now. Then we can upgrade them later. Aw, that's not good. I was kind of hoping that would fit a bit better. Oh well, that'll work. Yes, we can build one-way roads here, but not in the game. That's something, again, they should probably end up fixing. But, let's build some lines. So for now, I think the most important thing to do is connect this stone to the port, at least, and get these ships going. Then we can work on the machinery line. Because I feel this will make more money overall. Plus we'd have the buses as well. And I am going to use a medium road just in case I have to upgrade this to like a 4-lane later. Well, large road, sorry, is what I meant. And I'll just leave that there. A little ugly, but it gets the job done. And then I'm going to make a combo building here for both of these. Since it doesn't really matter what I put here, as I plan to expand trains and maybe other stuff around this area later on. We're just going to combine the two into one bigger building. And preferably the truck stop first. Again, pretty expensive building area because of the slope. What I'll do is I'll have the entrance up here, yeah. And then the exit down here. And I'll extend the platform out for these passenger ones. Cargo as well. There we go. You know what? Since I'm on the subject, I'll make another side entrance over here as well. I could have the trucks leave out one way and the buses leave their way. And because we lack one-way roads, let's use these small country ones. There we go. I did not see the hill there. I should have had the contour on. Smooth it out because it's going to eat into our money pretty badly. I said I would build a train station here, but this hilled area might prove to be a problem later on. I'll tell them. I'm going to try to make this road as flat as I can because we're using horses right now, which, as y'all might know, aren't very strong. Flatten this out a bit more. A bit more edgy than I'd like, but it'll work. too straight. Can I raise that? Too high. Use the shift key and increment it. That's probably going to be about as good as it's going to get. And again, this is where one-way roads would come in handy. Force them to go through this way and out the other. But they could come from any direction and then look at it. So, yes, two ways are fine. There we go. And then connect this road here. The remainder of the world. Connected to the main road, to this road. I'll connect it to the main, it'll make it seem more natural. See if I can get it through these rocks a bit better. There we go. Now they can just pretty much hang that way. Or the other way. In with the curves. Probably about as good as I'm going to get it. Close enough. So now we have that route set up. I'm just going to save again. I'll save this one as a test map. I can spell. Wrong button. And then, yes, the game does from time to time still do this wonderful thing, where it connects the industry on one side next to a main road, but doesn't connect it through the main road. Which in some cases is a lot better. But in this one, it's a little more annoying. Just do that. A little funky bridge. Curves a bit more than it probably should. But it'll work. Then we'll have the cargo trucks go up there. Yeah, this will work. That's an interesting mountain as well. So let's see. We'll need a stop somewhere here in this place. You thought I was going to pronounce it, did you? Nope. I'm kind of tempted to use trains, honestly, for this section. Just to see what the Asian ones look like. And I think I might, because that's a pretty long distance looking at it. Then have the trucks transfer here to the town. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. But first, we need to go on and connect this stone line and test it out. Try to make some money off this huge project. Entrance is right about this area. I could connect it that way. I think this way's a bit better. Yeah, so they'll come up this side, go through, and loop out. That'll work. And so because of that, we'll have another depot for vehicles down here. I see the right menu. Oh, come on. It's not that narrow. Alright. Because of that road, isn't it? It wants to fit there so badly. Can I cheat it? Tell you what, I'm just gonna do that, huh? And then have depot connect there, and have the road. Somehow that works better. We're just gonna roll with it. Alright. So then they go through there. Do I want to connect this first or the one closer? Yeah, definitely the one closer. Okay, connect that first later on, because there's plenty of them in this area. Actually, there's a ton of them I'm looking at. So, let's go on and get these trucks on a line. You shall go from the quarry, truck stop, and should really be about it, honestly. And I'll say load stone and unload nothing because you won't be picking up anything anyway, and then unload the stone when you get there. And that's our first line done. Let's get I typically like to work in tens. So with that being said, and this is a feature again I forgot to show off earlier when buying vehicles, you can just type in the number you want, not 0. There we go. And it'll automatically adjust to reflect that. So now we have 10 horse-drawn carriages, and I'll switch over and tell them to wait for at least a full load of anything, which in this case will only be stone since it can only carry one type of cargo. And then for our ships, they'll need a line. So you'll go from the cargo harbor to this cargo harbor. You will wait for a full load there of just stone, because it'll be the stone ships. However, on the way back, you can unload and load whatever you want, except for stone, because we don't want you to accidentally drop it there, go back and come back with it like I've seen so many times in my Transport Fever 1 playthrough. And do I want it? Because I don't think I'm going to be connecting any other source of construction materials to this area, since they'll be producing them. So I'll tell you not to load those as well. I'm sorry, to load those, but not drop them off. And that should do it for those. And you can pick up whatever you want if you have anything. Then we'll make a line from the truck stop here. I will tell you just to pick up a full load of stone. Then take it to a construction material plant. We'll drop it off. You won't pick up a full load of materials just in case there isn't enough stone there to produce enough. And, oh, unload the stone, of course. But then, when you get back... Let's see, does this reach the other industrial buildings? I don't think it does. Not really. So I'm going to need a cargo stop, because you only reach this area. So with that being said, I'll connect the road here. Build a new building to this game, which is the cargo unload stop, which unfortunately only lets you unload. It doesn't let you load at this tiny little stop. Kinda wish they had a loading one. So if anyone adds cargo mods, you could load stuff like mail, for example. Which residentials do actually let you select cargo. So, at least in the map editor, so that could be a thing later on. But I'll place this unload stop. Oh, let me select those buildings so I don't see them. I'll place you right here. And then you will stop at this point and loop back around. And because of the weird path you take here, I'll change your platform, which doesn't really help. That's an oversight. Might have to rebuild the station now that I look at it. I was hoping they would just go around this side into the platform. That's what I get for not testing it. And of course it's too close. Darn. Let's see, if I do this... it just does the same thing. Because it counts this side as a drop-off platform. Alright. I see. So with that being said, you actually want to come through that way then. Apparently I just destroyed something. That I confirmed, though I didn't quite see what it was. And this again is where being able to see the line would be really, really helpful. Yeah, it's gonna force me to do that. Again, this is where being able to configure the station itself would be really helpful. So we're just gonna nuke it, unfortunately. And rebuild it. I can technically say the length would be bigger, which is going to help plan this out a bit more. But kind of really doesn't help with the whole placing those one-way roads. I believe it needs to face this way. Yes, that's the way I wanted it to face. So then put the entrance, I guess, in the middle this time. The exit in the middle. So now, that's what I wanted it to do. And then we can tell them to go around. Still oddly placed waypoint feature. See you here. And so on their way back, we want you to pass through this waypoint, go around, and end up there. There we go. And because it was 10 trucks there, I'll make it 10 trucks here. Or horses. And I almost forgot we need to assign these to the lines. So you go to line, I think 1. go to line 3. Yeah, that's right. And then this station, because of the way the platforms are arranged, I've got to flip as well. I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna do this. There we go. Just extend it to the other side. Oh, configure. Then I'll just have to loop through there. Well, let's see. Was that better? That's where the road planning gets awkward. Yeah, you still got a loop. Fine, I'll flip the station around. Kind of hard to tell which way it's oriented is the problem. So that's the way we wanted it. I think it wants to go this way. Yes, that's the way we want it. Alright. So we basically want the road facing in the direction of travel on the opposite end. Or something along those lines. You can just head straight through the middle and out. And of course, it doesn't want to build there. Construction not possible problems. I don't think depots have. Yeah, they don't. Not expecting a hill problem. Oh well, that'll have to do. There we go. Now they flow through the right way. We just change the platform. There we go. What it should have done, now looking at it, is remove the platform on this side and have them both on this side, which I believe is considered the right, as far as the game's concerned, I believe. I think those are right side platforms, but hey, test map. Mistakes were made. But for now, it'll work. Famous last words. Alright, so that's that line. Of course, we need some ships. Watch these be super expensive. Yep, that's what I thought. We have enough for one ship. Well, that's all we're gonna buy then. And hope this works. Time. And let's see what happens, I guess. Can't afford the passenger ferry. And I do love the animations of the depots. And we're gonna speed a long time, because we're running short of it in real life as well, since I have to end the stream in about another 20 minutes. And these vehicles are slow, but these water wakes are beautiful. Much better than like the texture that followed the ships in the last game. I love the graphics in this game. It's just a shame they kind of nerfed some of the features. So much better. I do wish there were sailing ships though, instead of steam-powered ones, but it's fine. I can understand why they don't do those, because of the modeling or games as a small team. That and they kind of fall flat on the American vehicle selection anyway, compared to the European and I guess now Asia selection. I'm pretty sure that the Asian selection might be pretty small though, comparatively. But we'll see. We are hemorrhaging money though. I'm really hoping these lines work out. Wait a minute, is this a passenger boat? Then it was cargo. Cargo ship, right? It is the one. I checked it was a cargo ship. A game. Oh, did I set those lines right anyway? Might have to reload. Yeah, you're set. Well. Oh, I hope that's not a bug. Oh. Yep. Well, let's see. I guess we'll just pin the ship to the top. And you can see that was literally my first ship. And they're bringing the stone like they should, so I think that's just a visual bug right there. I do love these Asian horse cards. And, oh, another new feature I could show since we're at it. If I slow the game down a bit, you can move the camera around in the first-person view now. You get a really nice view, as well as rotate it backwards to show the vehicle, and then using the camera tool controls, you can pan around. And I really do love this. It makes follow cam videos and screenshots so much easier, though the clipping plane for the camera is a little too far out, as per usual. Hopefully hopefully someone will figure out how to mod it, because I tried to import a mod from Transport Fever 1 to do that, but it didn't work. Though some mods do import right. I think it's just the way the game is coded now versus the first one. Some major changes were made in that regard, for those wondering. I really love these models. They really went to town with them. Love the new camera tool. Again, a few, I forget what the word is. Let's just say visual discrepancies, like these clearly modern infrastructures on these clearly old school buildings. That's a thing. But yeah. Again, I probably should have fixed this. Alright, so the first stone has been delivered. It should be not transferring to the ship because it just left the harbor. Darn it. Go back. Go back and get the stone, please. I might need more trucks looking at it. Probably should have bought a few more. Oh yeah, I should have bought a lot more. What is the transfer rate on this line anyway? No, that's not where it is. It's in the old line statistics menu. There we go. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Because it's gonna basically take 2 years to fill up that ship looking at it. Oh dear. Should have bought 20. That's the thing about horse carts. You typically need double what you think you do. Well, oh well. We're going to be in the red for a while. Well, let's check on the rest of the map while we wait. Oh, it's an autosaves. I might have to reload this save and take out a loan. No. Let me select the ship. There we go. I mean, it has 40. That's good enough. Let's see what it does. Hopefully by the time it's back, it'll make the money it needs. Let's see. What's the biggest map? I mean, town here. This one. It is pretty big. We probably should have started a passenger line here, honestly. And interesting how it's not connected, though, even though it could have connected right there. Let's see. What's the next biggest? Oh, literally next to each other, that's why. Yeah, if we had connected a road between these two and done some passenger stuff, probably would have produced a whole bunch of passenger traffic. And then connected it here, and then, yeah, it would have changed with everything else. Things to know for the future, though. Let's see how much the ship will make, though, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be running in the red a bit too much. Oh, fish. Hold on. Click on you. Come here. Thank you. Salmon. Oh, use everything. Huh. Never knew. Hold on. Let me see if I can choose this. What's the button? Ah, there we go. Can I get under? I mean, I can, but it loses the water effect. Some nice models, though. Huh. Alright. Back to the ship. Let's see how much it makes. It's got to make enough on that transport in the middle, really, to fund the rest of this. It does. That's good. So, did I have my, yeah, they're all chipped on. Didn't show how much it made, but, alright. Oh, there goes the expense. Probably was just too small to see. That's another thing I noticed. The expenses tend to come out a few days earlier than the end of the month, it seems. Not quite sure how I feel about that. But it looks like all the trucks immediately took the stone. Do y'all make enough to cover your cost? I sure hope so. Oh, and that reminds me. Settings. I'm wondering why it's checking so hard. There we go. Yeah, if I had been on easy, that probably would have made enough money to cover its whole cost. I think medium's a good setting. Hard would have probably been impossible for this kind of chain because you basically need to transport a full load both directions in order to make it profitable on hard mode. At least on medium you can do it one way. I know on easy you just do it once and it basically earns you a truckload of money. How much stone is here? That's a problem. Yeah, we need to be carrying a lot more stone on the ship to start off with. I think I want to reload the save real quick and get some more trucks on this line because it clearly needs it. So we'll just load. Test. Take out a tiny loan, unfortunately, because we lost too much money trying to delete some of those buildings and rebuild them. Things to know for the future, though. And just wait for the game to load up. There we go. So let's see. Line manager. I can show off a new feature. So I know I basically need double the trucks exactly, at least on this initial stone line. Since this line's over here is pretty short, it should be okay. So with that being said, I can just select line 1, take out, $500,000 should be enough. And then just take all the vehicles on the line and click this new button, which is clone selected vehicles, and boom. Now we have exactly 10 more, which should be enough if I'm right. I think it only needs 20 because it delivers about 40. The ship carries 70, so that should bring just enough in to keep that ship fully supplied when it makes its round back and forth. So I'll just save over it because I can easily revert it otherwise if I need to. And that should cover everything. Just let the game speed along. Interesting they're going that way instead of straight, but whatever. I think I might set these to wait. Nah, I'll leave them as they are. Oh, that's a thing. I forgot to look up. No, they don't. Okay. About to say. Like, do streetlights appear in the 1800s? I don't think they should. This ship does make quite a bit of money on a huge trip. Yeah, and it's already produced more than enough stone. You carry 4 each, so 4 times 4. That's technically only 40, but it should fill out. I might have to clone these all again to make it 20 on the line. Wait a minute. Yeah, again, have to check the line statistics. There are 20 vehicles total. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I forgot because I added 10 originally. So yeah, that should be a full shipment once all these trucks get back. And it just barely edges out the ship itself. So that should be okay. Along this little road. Ah, the passenger line. I forgot to build it. Well, that's stream. Oversight. I do like how they're going down this road instead, though. I should have made these big enough to allow for waypoints in between them. Sorry, didn't mean to yawn there. Oh, go back. A little too eager. I'll set that wait time a bit longer. Should be okay. Because a good rule of thumb for those who don't know is if you have ships or any other vehicles, to basically let them sit as long as you need if they have to go a long distance. Just so they can go a full load instead of a partial one, because they make a lot more that way. And they don't use up as much money expense-wise because they're not actually moving. So it costs less to run them. So not running, of course. So we're just waiting for all the trucks to space themselves out. Any second now. expensive as they hopefully shouldn't be too expensive to run this way. I think I'll extend the stream about another 2 minutes as well, looking at it. I did start the stream a bit earlier. So now that this is fully loaded, and I love how it shows the cargo on the deck this time as well, like the original. Should make enough money to counter, I hope, all this money we're losing waiting. Truck should be filling up enough as well. Otherwise, I'll just take in an extra loan and hopefully have enough for a second ship, because I should have done that. Let's see. It's really not that long of a line looking at it. About 19 minutes, yeah. In Transport Fever, this would be quite long compared. It probably wouldn't make as much money as it does here. Just something I do like. They tend to have made the longer lines a lot more profitable, like they should be. That was 200,000? Yeah, 200,000. Hopefully it can get back and forth quick enough to counteract this massive balance deficit of ours. That should be enough stone left over for about 2 truckloads, roughly. A little less than 1. Let's just see if we can make this line profitable, though, before we have to end. I know what I should have done. I should have had a second truck line going up to the town. That way this would have carried the materials back with it. And then, yeah, oversight on my part. But I think we don't have enough stone quite for that yet. Speaking of which, is there another quarry? Oh, that sounds like it's far. That's because it is a really long sailing line around to here. Could work. Which does it actually clear this bridge? Does. That could be an option, but that's a bit long if you ask me. Ships. Cargo-wise, you're like 1 short. A little unfortunate. Might need to throw in 1 more truck for that. Let's see if we can make this profitable in the next 10 minutes. Come on, you can do it. There we go. I think I might have waited too long. You're carrying control materials. They really don't show up in the actual back of the vehicle, but save. Right on time. Make a decent amount. But yeah, we really gotta get the stone back quicker. 2 ships probably would have been the right amount. With more trucks, of course. So we still got a lot of stone waiting there. How much production? 100. Might just be doable. If it wasn't for that little loop around we have to make them go through, probably definitely be doable. It's just now making it here. Profit. Yeah, only 200,000. Yeah, not profitable enough, it seems. Oh, that's it, 68. Yeah, we're like 1 or 2 trucks short of where it should be. Looks of things. It is piling up, though. Yeah. Let's do 1 more quick load. Just go max out the truck lines that we can. And 1 more ship. You. Yes. See, there it asked me to confirm that. Otherwise. All of you. That's literally all of our money right there. Well, sure, why not? It's actually really easy to sell vehicles back, it seems. Which I also forgot to mention. You wait just a bit longer. So many trucks. Have 35. Well, close enough. Really should probably be 45, but yeah. Starting producing maximum 6. Down for a second there for some reason. that's the way I keep placing these truck stations. I might go off camera and optimize those a bit. And I think of it. By the time I do the next stream. Not exactly sure when that would be, unfortunately. But yeah, they really should let you like pre-plan your station a bit more before you build it. Yeah, a lot of time and effort. Oh, come on. Go. Slow in this little hill area. Bit unfortunate. It's been steep though. Smoothed it out. It's already here. Sideways. I think there's a button I can press to show me like all the pathways for things in the game. Got the combination of about to go green, honestly. Pretty much, yeah, there it goes. But now it's really earning money, which is good. I don't think this is enough trucks to fill it. Just barely. Let's see how much the ship's 200. Hopefully the other one arrives quick enough for it to count. Fires. But yeah, that's a lot of stone coming in. I just don't think the ships are fast enough. Now it's not producing stone fast enough either. Probably only 2 stone mines for this one. Try to travel. just need more trucks. Trucks and yeah. What else I like? But anyway, guys, gotta end the stream here. Unfortunately, got things I gotta do. But I'll keep I'll work on this map at TNC Day while I'm offline, and hopefully the next time I'll stream, which I'll definitely try to announce this time, since I didn't get the chance. I'll have to make sure I do those little tweaks I was mentioning, like add some more trucks and everything, maybe even some more ships, and that should fix the line, connect the other towns. Just gonna have to use loans from the looks of it, unfortunately. Got a bit too ambitious because of the distance here. But anyway, everyone, this has been Jam764, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.